Hello everyone, NoC here, aka Icon7, and today I'm going to be covering up every single survivor tech in Dead by Daylight. Now, I won't be talking too much in detail about every single tech. I will try to explain the most important things about it, but I will still leave a link in the description to my more detailed guides around FOV teching, Aaron teching, 360ing in the description. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So for the first tech, we have the Aaron tech as well as the Aaron tech reverse. Now, this is done on 70 sensitivity, but I will also show an example on 90 sensitivity, basically the sensitivity that I play on. This tech can be done between with a sensitivity between 70 till 100. The higher you go, the more difficult it becomes. And this is on 90 right here. So how does the normal Aaron tech work? And that is by doing a 360 and then moving both your joysticks the same direction, left and right, but you move your left joystick slightly downwards, curve downwards, so you can move backwards, of course. And for the Aaron tech reverse, it's, the opposite basically. You just do a 180, or you can do a 360 as well. And then you move both joysticks the opposite direction from each other, but you move your left joystick a little bit upwards, curved, and yeah, that's just how it's done. And then we have the FOV tech, of course, probably the most effective tech till date. Basically, it's when you're turning around the corner, you lose line of sight, and then you do a 360 in front of a killer. And that's pretty much the FOV tech. People call it the jump scare tech. I like to call it the FOV tech. Now, you don't really need a sensitivity for this. This is just a normal tech. So how is this tech done? It's pretty easy, but if you want to make it more effective, when you lose line of sight at a corner, you basically do a 360 in front of a killer, and it makes it look like you go behind the killer from their point of view. That's why you see them like turn around and swing, because you're going for a 360, and it's really fun because this is way more effective than 360, and I can 360 really good. So yeah, then we have the 360. What I like to do with my 360s is like moving left, right really quick, and then turning around a killer, just to confuse them a lot more, as well as crouching in front of them, which is also like something that I noticed lately that has a pretty good success rate. So yeah, crouching in front of them before 360ing is pretty effective as well. So how do you perform a 360? Basically, if the killer is approaching you, how I like to do it is I like to move left and right really quickly. Sometimes I like to crouch in front of a killer to make it a little bit more confusing, and then you turn around the killer with your left joystick, and of course you use your right joystick to move your camera as well. I'm not gonna go too much in detail on how the 360 is performed because I do have many guides on my channel, so I will leave a link in the description on a more detailed explanation on the FOV tech, Aaron tech reverse, moonwalking, and the 360, of course. And then we have the crouch tech, which works really well at shack. As you can see, the steps inside of shack are a little bit higher than where I'm standing, and that's why this works, because when they are dashing or chainsawing towards you, they are locked in animation and they can't look down. And there is another thing with crouch tech. If you get crouch tech at shack and the killer somehow keeps holding W, you can drop your item, go inside of the killer because there is no collision then, and then you can just drop the shack from the other side in case you find yourself dead zoned. Now, once again, this tech works against Billy, Blight, and Demo, and if performed correctly, usually killers will never see it coming. Now, this is like one of the, more rare techs, and they usually never see it coming, and if performed correctly, you can save a lot of distance, and it can save your life as well. And then we have the classic window tech, where if the killer is done vaulting the window, you squeeze in between, and you vault the window back again. Now, you can also do that with an item to remove collision completely, or you can use clairvoyance or clairvoyance, I don't know how to say it, to also like remove the collision between you and the killer. And then we have the window fake, which is basically pretending you will vault a window, so the killer swings or goes around. Let's say you're in shack, you're trying to take the window inside of shack, but the killer goes around thinking you were actually going to take the window, or you can not look behind you and pretend you were actually going to take it, but then you just dodge last second. Yeah, there's many different ways. Now, window faking is really good if you, think that you cannot make the next pallet. Maybe you can make them swing and, they will lose momentum. And you can gain some distance to make it to the next pallet. But otherwise, apart from that, it's a pretty cool tech, so yeah. Then we have the dump tech where you stun the killer and you just vault back and, you know, keep looping or just wait inside of the killer, waiting till they look behind and swing, I guess. Now, dump techs are really cool and you can use them strategically as well. Now, let's say you have like light or you have smash hit and you're stunning a killer, but you find yourself on the side that's a dead zone. You can stun them, dump tech them, and take distance to the other side where the killer was at. Then we have the flashlight dump tech. Now, this one you have to like time it pretty well. So basically, it's the same thing as a dump tech, but you know, a little bit different. So let's say you're getting chased by a killer. You stun the killer. You blind the killer while they are in stun animation. So the moment you stun them, you start blinding. So you get the killer blind. You slow vault the pallet. And while you're slow vaulting, the killer cannot break the pallet. So they might be trying to break it when they are blinded, but they can't. So you slow vault the pallet, and then you fast vault it back. By the time you fast vault it back, they should be able to see you again, and they usually like swing. So it's pretty funny. I do have some examples, not from me, but from my friend Chickies. Now he's really good in doing this. And I told him to send me some clips so I can show you guys how it really looks like. And yeah, that's pretty much how it is, you know. It's a pretty funny tech if you can pull it off. It feels very satisfying as well, so yeah. Then we have the famous crouch corner tech. Now this has been in the game for so long, and what it basically is, it works best at Shack. You can do it in many different places, but it works best at Shack. So basically what it is, if you have some fair amount of distance from the killer, I'm talking about like, you can make the window, but you're not going for it, that kind of distance. Try to go for a crouch tech near the locker. Most of the times, killers think you have quick and quiet and you vaulted the window. Sometimes they will be confused and they, you know, just don't even know what happened. And then you immediately run back through the door. Now, what you can also do is you can 360 them. Now, you can like crouch tech and then they will like turn around on you and then you can 360 them. But you can choose whatever you want to do, whether you want to go for a 360, whether you want to go through the door again. In this case, I went through the door again, and I gave him a little FOV tech as well. And yeah, this is a pretty fun tech to do as well. But a lot of killers are, you know, catching up with this one, since it's a very old tech. Then we have the window swing tech. Now, this one is very silly, and it does barely work, except if you're playing against a really bad killer. Now this is basically like you get closer to the window and you try to make a killer swing multiple times. Now that's only if the killer actually wants to swing. If the killer just wants to vault the window, they can vault the window. But yeah, it's still a tech. I'm surprised that's actually a tech. Then we have the keg tech, which is basically if the killer vaults the window, you have to time it pretty perfectly. You just go back inside of them and you vault the window as well. Now, usually they are just locked in animation and they cannot swing. Now, I have an example against a Legion as well. It's a very cool tech, but you have to time it perfectly. If you don't time it well, you just bump into the killer and you're pretty much, you know, in a very bad position, especially if the killer is like insta-down, like Booba or Hillbilly. Then we have the penis tech. Yes, it's called the penis tech. I mean, JRM called it the penis tech, so we might as well just call it the penis tech, right? So what it basically is, it's when you get hit by a killer, you just hide inside of them. It's so weird how it's called the penis tech and then you just hide inside of them. So maybe it makes sense why JRM called it the penis tech. Then we have the pallet vacuum tech. Yes, this is a tech because a lot of good killers try to respect pallets in a very good way so they don't get stunned and they can break the pallet so they can catch up with on the survivor way quicker. Now, the pallet vacuum, how you basically do it is you go as far as possible from the pallet, you let go of your sprint button, and then you drop it. So you vacuum back to the pallet and it drops. Now, you have to let go of your sprint button because if you don't, you can't drop the pallet. You can't pallet vacuum. So I have a few examples right here. The killer expects you to like keep looping because you're so far away from the pallet, but then they see you vacuum back into it and they never expect it. Now, some killers might expect it, but that's only if you have done it multiple times. Then we have the pallet FOV, which is basically, this is also a very silly one, and it works, but you can do two variations of these. You can do a 360 behind a killer, and you can do a crouching near or in front of the killer. So basically what it is, if the killer is breaking the pallet, they will be locked in animation after breaking the pallet for like half a second. So you get close to them, you crouch, and it looks like you went behind them. Now you can also do it while doing a 360, but you actually go behind them, but then you go back to your normal position, and they usually like turn around and swing. So it's pretty funny. Then we have the flashlight blind into dead hard tech. Now this one can be done in two different ways. You can either blind the killer fully, and then when they are, you know, when they are able to see again, dead hard, or you can make it so you blind the killer just slightly a little bit, and then when you see them approach, you're just dead hard. Now usually when you're blinding the killer, they usually think, well, this person is dead anyway, they're just trying to blind me for fun, and then you're just dead hard. So they don't see it coming, especially now since Dead Hard got nerfed to the ground. They barely expect survivors to actually still run Dead Hard. And as you can see against this Legion right here, it was a very dangerous move by me to actually blind the Legion in Frenzy, since if you blind a Legion in Frenzy, they don't have any cooldown because you cancel their Frenzy, but they don't have any cooldown while their Frenzy is cancelled. But I knew my plan. My plan was to blind them, time the amount of time they're blinded, and then dead hard, and it worked out pretty well. So then we have the sweet tech. Now this is a very recent one, and honestly one of my most favorite techs. Well, not really my most favorite techs. Of course it's FOV teching, but this is one of my most favorite techs. What it basically is, you stand inside of a unsafe pallet. Now you can do it with a safe pallet as well, but it works better on a unsafe pallet since killers always double back multiple times, expecting you to drop a very unsafe pallet. But what you basically do is the opposite. You just stand inside of the pallet and you press option. Well, on my controller it's option, or I think on keyboard it's escape, and you just, you know, check the ping, you know, you take your time, check the ping, you know, talk with chat, and you know, and if you feel like it's time to drop it, you just drop it, you know. You kind of have to use your own instinct, and when you think the killer will actually swing, you have to stay like calm, and then you will most certainly outplay the killer. It's a really funny one. Then we have the fake dead hard tech. Yes, this one still works, but only against good killers, because if a killer sees that you're actually playing really well and he sees that you're looking behind you multiple times, they sometimes still expect you, well, this survivor is actually playing really well, and I wouldn't be surprised that they still have dead hard. And basically what you just do, now I have many guides on the fake dead hard tech as well. I'll leave them in the description as well. Basically what you do is you FOV tech them while injured, waiting for them to swing, but then if you feel like it's the perfect time, you just dead hard. Now once again, bad killers will probably not really fall for it anymore, but still, there are still good killers out there that will actually fall for this tech till this day. Then we have the flashlight 360, which is pretty much the same thing as the normal 360, but instead you click your flashlight before you start spinning. Now once again, I will leave a link in the description to my 360 guides. Then we have the Plague crouch tech, and this one is really good, and I've been doing this every single time I play against the Plague. That's why I just enjoy playing against Plague. And what it basically is when they're trying to like vomit on you, you just crouch nearby. And this one is really good from long distance to like close interaction with the killer to like dropping pallets, crouching. And you can do that if they have the power as well. Usually they will never expect such plays. And that's why, you know, you will leave them stunned. It's pretty good. It's a really good tech, and it can always avoid you being infected or dying too early in the game. So yeah, this will be pretty much it for this video, at least for part 1. Now I could have put everything in one video and make this a 50-minute, 1 hour long video, but that would be just way too long. Yeah, I'm actually surprised how many techs there are in DBD. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if there is any other techs that you may know, leave them in the comments so I can see if I actually already have them in my list or not, or I can include them, because it wouldn't surprise me if there is another bunch of new techs into the game that even I still don't know about. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Natürlich hast du die Safe-Palette da, ja klar. Okay, sie hat... Mann! Das ist nervig, sie ist halt Slowwall, hat einen Slowwall drüber gemacht. Mich richtig abzufacken. Ich hab's zu spät gecheckt.